What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about PlayStation because it feels like people are pretty much begging Sony to break their silence. This entire console generation, the PlayStation 5, has been selling like crazy. I mean, it's already moved something like 55 million PS5s have been sold, and I'm enjoying it, both first-party stuff and third-party stuff, but we're also in a very strange spot. Sony isn't exactly telling us what's coming next. After Astrobot comes out here in just a couple weeks, I mean, are we supposed to be excited for this gigantic question mark? Sony has done incredibly good stuff like Gran Turismo and God of War, and of course really cool stuff with other third-party developers like Square Enix putting a lot of exclusives on the PlayStation 5. But I'm almost in this spot where a lot of Sony fans are kind of saying, okay, what are you working on? Well, finally, it seems like they are about to tell us. There have been rumors of an upcoming PlayStation Mega Showcase, and it sounds like it may actually be at Tokyo Game Show. But let me explain, and let me try and break this down. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So this is an interesting circumstance because, to be honest, it is very surprising. So, PlayStation has not gone to Tokyo Game Show now for the last 5 years. Seems pretty bizarre they would randomly decide to pop up now so deep into this console generation, but I'm taking this as a very good sign for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, it does seem like a lot of major developers are going to show up this year. It seems like a lot of hype, a lot of focus, a lot of attention is saying something big is going down in September. In fact, even looking at the list, you can see stuff like Square Enix, Sega, Konami. And what's interesting is that these are third-party developers that have already been making incredibly good Sony games. Stuff like the Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy, the Silent Hill 2 Remake. And this is also going to be going on just a couple weeks before the PlayStation exclusive Silent Hill remake comes out. But here's the thing. In the past, Sony has taken Tokyo Game Show extremely seriously. The last time they went there, this is the actual list of games they showed off at Tokyo Game Show in 2019. Like, it is insane. So a lot of these are games that are made by third-party developers and stuff like that, but a lot of these are exclusives. And what's crazy to me is, scrolling down, they even did a live showcase there, and even there, they just showed off a ton of stuff that people actually love and are excited for. So it's interesting to me that they are deciding to return now. So the rumors of this are twofold. There has been a lot of rumblings that PlayStation is planning to do some sort of actual showcase. People are even talking about it here in the comments, and I think part of the reason that people are on the edge of their seat hoping for an actual showcase is because, to be honest, PlayStation has not exactly been just displaying the best for this last couple months. I mean, in my personal opinion, I feel like they lost a lot of brownie points, a lot of love in the public eye after their incredibly paltry PlayStation State of Play they did during Summer Games Fest. Now, Summer Games Fest, I know, is just sort of a loose amalgamation. They're not exactly directly connected. They're not supposed to be directly compared, but I feel like to gamers, if you compare something like the Nintendo Direct we got recently, which was fantastic, and then obviously Xbox did an Xbox game showcase, which was completely jam-packed, and you could say, oh, a lot of those games are also coming to the PlayStation 5, but my point is the fact that every other developer, every other publisher, every other company that's making stuff for a console is out there pounding their chests, talking about why you should buy their console and why you should be excited. But Sony isn't. Sony is still just kind of sitting there and soaking up the crazy amount of attention. Now, I've talked about this in the past as sort of a positive, but I almost feel like it's becoming a negative, which is that because of the popularity of PlayStation, I feel like everybody is buying a Sony gadget. I do feel like it is now the default console. You can disagree with me, but it does feel like if you are going to the store and you're trying to buy a system, not just to play Uncharted or Spider-Man or something like that, if you're actually going to the store to buy something to play with your bros, even if it is Call of Duty or some random freaking Fortnite expansion or whatever, I mean, the numbers show a lot of people choose to buy a PlayStation first, and I almost think it's made it so that Sony is sort of trying to stay out of their own way. Instead of spending tens of millions of dollars or even hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing, they're just focusing on development. But as good as that is, it clearly has not actually displayed itself as like big, huge games. There has been a lot of talk about the fact that development is taking longer and longer and longer. If you're trying to make something that has photorealistic graphics and ray-traced lighting and crazy cool 100-hour-long stories, it takes 5 or 6 years to make those kind of games, which I understand, but I think a lot of people, even knowing that, are kind of going, okay, PlayStation, what comes next? What is Naughty Dog working on? Where's the next freaking Ghost of Tsushima? Where's even more DLC for something like freaking Helldivers 2? A lot of people are going, okay, I'm happy with what we have. I still have an infinite amount of stuff to play on my PS5, but what are you working on? And I think a lot of people are also saying this. This is Genkai. He lives in Japan. He's a guy who tweets in English, a lot of interesting coverage about the Japanese gaming market. I highly recommend if you're on Twitter. This guy is a good guy to follow. And he said this: I'm glad PlayStation is back at Tokyo Game Show. In my opinion, it didn't make sense for them to skip TGS every year. They still have a lot of staff working at their Japanese headquarters. Maybe Jim Ryan was too okay with conceding the market to Nintendo, and the new leadership will put more focus back on Japan. Now, personally, I do want that. I am the kind of person where, honestly, I really like Japanese-made games. I mean, obviously, a lot of JRPGs and stuff are what I grew up with, or even Japanese horror. I completely grew up obsessed with freaking every single Silent Hill and every single Resident Evil, which are very, very, very Japanese. And I like that. So it's cool to me the fact that this is actually them coming out and saying, hey, let's actually make PlayStation the center of attention. Let's actually come out here and show you why you should be hyped. Now, I do think this is interesting because with this being September, I do think there is a good chance we're going to see the PlayStation 5 Pro. There's been talks about the fact that the PS5 Pro is something that Sony has been cooking up. They do want to release it this year in time for the holiday season. But on the other side of the coin, I am curious to see how they're going to do that, how they're going to have that reveal. And also, I want to see what they reveal with it. I do think that it would be a good idea to show a completely new game with impossibly good graphics up there in 4K on the screen to blow our minds, and then say, hey, this is on a PlayStation 5 Pro. And even if you don't have the game right now, and that's going to be down there next in 2025, you can buy the console today. We'll see. I will say, as it currently exists, I am taking this as a very, very good sign. We'll see if it actually pans out, but honestly, I'm glad that PlayStation is going to tell us something. The fact that this is happening after the release date of Astro Bot, I think this is going to be more than just talking about what we already know about. But what are your thoughts? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. Okay, I'm going to post this video and then I'm going to barbecue with the family. I'm going to have like 8 billion hot dogs and maybe launch some slightly illegal fireworks. You know, it's 4th of July. It's 4th of July. Pop.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.